What's unfolded in Nepal today has been a fresh crisis situation earlier in the afternoon on top of a massive tragedy. With a dam burst in Tibet earlier triggering fresh flood warnings, Nepal remained on edge. All this as the country battered by those flash floods has been racing against time to rescue survivors. Over 350 people have lost their lives. Hundreds remained missing. Risks from a lake formed on the Nepal-Tibet border after the deadly mudslides seem to be gradually decreasing after the authorities in Nepal issued an urgent warning following reports that a dam upstream in Tibet has burst. And rescue operations on both sides of the border were briefly suspended, reportedly. In fact, the Nepalese police had issued a fresh alert earlier in the day after that dam burst in Tibet. Security personnel and rescue and relief workers were told to stay on high alert and asked to immediately move to a safe location. Authorities earlier warned of further flooding from the barrier lake, which was already overflowing. They urged people in the potentially affected areas to move to safer ground as the country remained on edge. The situation remains particularly dangerous for the rescue team personnel, remember, who've been racing against time, working in the affected areas, where the unstable terrain, the damaged infrastructure, and the possibility of sudden water surges have been complicating the relief efforts. Let's now get you these images that have been coming in. Now, this is just a bird's eye view of what we are talking about has been the situation on the ground. Now, Nepal has been monitoring 2 lakes upstream of the flood zone, one of which, in fact, began overflowing on Friday. That's reportedly, according to an official with Nepal's Disaster Management Authority. Flood risks will reportedly remain until the 2 lakes have fully drained. And according to the official, satellite imagery showed presence of both lakes close to the glacial site. Nepalese authorities are reportedly relying on satellite imagery to track the conditions, though monitoring is limited by the availability of images, as per that official, reportedly. Meanwhile, rescuers pulled out survivors caked in mud. Helicopters lifted stranded people to safety. People from multiple countries, remember, are missing as a result of those flash floods in Nepal. Thousands have been rescued as those relief efforts have been continuing. Thousands on the ground have been rescued. Some of the injured taken to hospitals. In fact, this is just a glimpse of the kind of efforts that have been made by those personnel on the ground, racing against time. Remember, every passing hour has been crucial. It's been a very tight window that we are looking at, and these personnel have been carrying out these rescue operations. In fact, Nepal's Prime Minister's office released the video, this one showing rescuers climbing through thick mud towards a tunnel at the upper Trishuli hydropower project to reach and evacuate the laborers and the local residents trapped by the devastating floods. According to the Prime Minister's office, it had rescued 350 people from the tunnel and moved another 533 residents to safety from the flood-affected areas across the district. While efforts continued to evacuate, more than 100 people still trapped. What caused this horrific tragedy is also the question. Scientists say the most likely trigger was a glacial collapse in which a gigantic piece of ice broke off the glacier and fell into a river below, setting off a disastrous chain reaction that killed hundreds. Initial satellite analysis reportedly showed that a chunk of ice measuring almost 50 acres collapsed about 1.2 kilometers vertically. The impact registered as a magnitude 5.2 seismic event reportedly. And this renewed concerns over the risks from the retreating glaciers and changing high altitude catchments across the Himalayas. Earlier, drone footage released by the Chinese authorities showed a landslide dammed lake on the Nepal-Tibet border form by the glacier debris. In fact, Chinese rescue teams resumed operations on Friday after the authorities assessed the risk on the Nepal-Tibet border as manageable following that brief suspension over fears that the lake could burst. The lake overflowed earlier, remember, triggering those fresh alarms downstream in Nepal. Authorities on both sides of the border stepped up monitoring as water levels continued to rise earlier. And Nepal could also be sitting on a time bomb as of now. The focus remains on rescuing survivors. It's a race against time. It's a crucial window and a long wait for the families of those who are missing, waiting for updates about their loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers remain with the people of Nepal.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.